All right, so tonight, boys and ghouls, we're going to talk about Tyr, the god Tyr from the Norse pantheon, and my experiences working with him so far. Figured we might as well continue with the Norse a bit after the initiation telling, and yeah, we'll go from there. So, Tyr, for those who don't know, is a god of war, but he's different than Thor as a god of war. It's funny, a lot of the Norse, there's this pattern of gods and goddesses of war. But Tyr is, he's like the wizened old general who helps you strategize and who's been through lots of wars and can make you look at conflict and war in a lot different of a way than, say, someone like Thor. Tyr is patient when he needs to be. And he's also all about divine justice. So he's the type where if you want to make sure someone gets what they deserve, you can call upon him. If you're not sure if someone is guilty of something and you want to make sure that they get what they deserve, if they're guilty or if they're not guilty, you can call upon him, because if they're innocent, then they won't be found guilty if he's involved. If they are guilty, though, they will be found guilty and they will face divine punishment, something that is due them, that's relative to the actions that um, they did. He's not like Belial, though I love him, but Belial can get you out of some stuff, apparently. He can get you out of some heat, even if you're not innocent. So I've heard. Uh, Belial's very good with the law stuff, but Belial can get you out of jams, even if you're not innocent. Not so with Tyr. But yeah, so the day after I contacted Tyr, he expressed, I saw in my meditations that his name was popping up. I was like, okay, apparently he wants to talk and maybe work with me. So after I acknowledged him in his presence, and I said, okay, yeah. So the very next day after I contacted Tyr at my job, these two military trucks pulled up. And I'm not talking Hummers. I've never seen these before. I don't know the names of them. I'll have to look them up on the internet. I had a picture. I took a picture of one, like two pictures of them on my phone, but a bunch of stuff got deleted, and apparently those pictures got deleted. So otherwise I was going to use those for the thumbnail for this video. But the very next day, these two trucks show up, and they show up right in the way where I have to walk, like right in my pathway of where I have to go every day at my job. Like I literally had to move around them with the machinery that I was using, and they were pretty big. Like I said, they weren't Hummers. They were sand colored, and they were up high. They looked almost like mini monster trucks, but the tops of them were like rounded. Like I said, I gotta look up the model, but like the very next day, these two military trucks show up, and I don't know where they came from. I'm like, okay, Tyr, that's a sign, I believe, yeah. And I haven't seen them since. And I've worked at that place for years. I don't know if I know there's some bases in the area that I'm at, like probably half hour, 45 minutes away. But yeah, it's just too much of a coincidence with that the very next day with Tyr and being a god of war. So yeah, he's good for any military stuff, protection. If you are in the military, you want to be protected as best as you can be. Divine justice. He's also really good if you're doing shadow work. He can help ground you in it so that you don't become either a monster or an insufferable prick while you're going through it. He'll tone you down and keep you patient, and you'll be more even keeled while you're going through anything that might be angering you or things coming up. I've asked him for his divine justice a few times already with certain things that I really saw that were really getting out of hand. Some of them on a larger scale, some of them on a smaller scale. It was, I didn't see anyone stepping in and doing anything, so I did something about it. I did the ritual right afterwards. The next day and the following week, I saw things happening very quickly, and it was unmistakable, and it's been unmistakable since. I won't go into detail what it is, and I wasn't even sure if that was the right, divine justice. That's why I was like, okay, for this situation, I don't know if this is the right call, so bring divine justice to it, and things unfolded, and it's been undeniable. Tyr apparently likes Fosters. You know those commercials? Australian for beer. He apparently likes Fosters, if you want to. Stout. He's been showing me stout. I gotta buy him some stout. Obviously, mead is a thing for most Norse, But specifically, um, the time before this was Foster's he wanted. And for this next thing he'd like for an offering, he keeps showing me stout in my mind's eye. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, that's what I have with Tyr right now. Hope you all having a great evening. Be safe, and I'll catch you next time.